A United States spy with an Austrian accent must try to stop a terrorist attack while keeping up the facade to his wife and daughter that he is just a boring computer salesman. James Cameron was red hot in the 1980s and the 1990s. Now that I think about it, I guess he was also pretty hot in the 2000s. He always spends way too long making movies, and he spends way too much money doing it, and yet somehow they always become huge hits. 3 of his films have been the biggest money makers in box office history. Terminator 2 is my favorite movie of the 1990s, and probably my all-time favorite action film. Part of that is because I was way too young the first time that I watched it, and it left quite an impression on me. In fact, to this day, I still have nightmares about the Terminator and the T-1000 coming after me. Now, True Lies came out 3 years later, and I know that I saw it back in the 90s, but when I watched it in 2023, it felt completely fresh to me. I remembered literally nothing about it. I would venture to say that True Lies is the last great 80s action film. Now, I realize that it came out almost midway through the 1990s, but it has all the stuff that made 80s action films like Die Hard and Indiana Jones and Lethal Weapon work. It features a huge star in Arnold Schwarzenegger, who at the time was the biggest, both literally and figuratively, and most bankable and highest paid action star in the world. It features Tom Arnold fresh off of his divorce from Roseanne, Jamie Lee Curtis who just makes everything she is in better, Tia Carrera fresh off of a star-making performance in Wayne's World, and the always likable, even when playing a sleazeball, Bill Paxton. This is a typical spy movie. Good guy trying to stop bad guy from doing something bad. The added wrinkle of the spy being a family man felt new and added most of the charm to the film. Arnold is leading a double life. He seems way too calm and things usually work out too conveniently for him, but hey, it's a movie. There aren't any real major double crosses and you never really fear that things aren't going to work out. It's pretty lighthearted, or as lighthearted as a movie full of gunfights and nuclear weapons can be. It has quite a bit of humor as well, and while Tom Arnold is the same character in every show and every movie he's in, and he can be a lot to take, his character works really well here. In fact, the chemistry between all of the leads is excellent and probably why I enjoyed this film so much. As I was watching, I heard a lot of similarities in the score between True Lies and Terminator 2. Now, of course, Cameron's going to do his underwater shot that he does in every movie, and each scene is going to be more over the top than the last. The chase scenes reminded me of something you'd see in a John Wick movie. The spy stuff and the bathroom fight had to have inspired Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible films. The witty banter of the leads felt like something you'd see in Lethal Weapon or Indiana Jones. It's crazy to me how you can watch this film almost 30 years after it came out and you can still see all of the films that influenced it as well as all the films that it influenced. Now, Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park had already started the CGI craze, and even though True Lies came out after both of those movies, relied more on practical effects which made it feel more grounded and more real. Much like Die Hard wouldn't have worked if all of those explosions were CGI, I don't think True Lies works without the real stunts. It's impossible to watch True Lies through 1994 eyes in 2023. So there were a couple of lines of dialogue that just don't really play well today, and the entire hotel room scene which sets off the third act made me a bit uncomfortable. Everyone involved in that hotel room scene has signed off on how it played out, so it's not my place to judge old movies through current lenses. True Lies is straightforward and effective. It isn't the greatest action film ever made, but it hits all of the right buttons, and nearly 30 years later, it's still a heck of a lot of fun. I'm kind of mad that I haven't watched this more times since it came out. I suspect that this will not be the last time that I watch True Lies. American spies in suspenders, doing the tango, flying a Harrier jet, laughing in a convertible with Bill Paxton, peeing with a gun to your head, rubbing nuclear weapons,